Good day, good day, good day, everybody. This is Norfolk CPA. We got a special presentation. We have Dr. Rachel Silver with us, and we're going to be talking about, well, this thumbnail says profit plus impact with course creation. She has a special presentation that will talk about that and what every course creator must know. And again, I'm Norfolk CPA, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. I appreciate you very much. But let me get my camera on so everybody can see me. What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? So we're gonna get Dr. Silver. Come on, Dr. Silver. Go ahead and get your camera up. Say hi to the people. How's it going, Dr. Silver?
It is going well. Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you for coming on and doing this presentation for us. And after you do it, I do want to ask you some follow-up questions. A lot of the folks that should be watching this are going to include, entrepreneurs, going to include other tax professionals, other accountants, CPAs. So we want to know, should course creation be a part of our strategy as well? So, but without further ado, I'm gonna hand the reins over to you.
All right, awesome. I am going to share my screen. I'm not going to give you a long, drawn out presentation, but I am going to give you some information that is helpful. Can you see my screen? We're not going to listen to this wonderful song. I usually start off with a song. It just helps to center me, helps to center everyone, but we won't do that. We're going to jump right in. I am an instructional designer. My name is Dr. Rachel Silver. And one of the things that I learned as I spoke with different people who wanted to create courses was everyone didn't really know exactly what they were trying to accomplish. So, of course, as I listened to them, some people were trying to make courses, some people were doing workshops, but they didn't really know what it was they wanted. And thankfully, I make all of them, but it was definitely helpful for me just to provide some information. So I said, you know what? This is what every course creator should know. And so I came up with this small presentation. So just to let you know what we'll be talking about is I'm going to let you know what is the difference between a course, between a webinar, a masterclass, and a workshop, because we use those terms very interchangeably, especially now in our internet world. We use them so much. So I definitely want to share that. I'm going to share the three most important things that should be included in a transformational course. The number one most overlooked thing that I see when people are creating courses. And then I'm also going to share how I can help you get started creating a course. And so this is 90% information, but it is also 10% sharing how I can help as well. So there is a little bit of sales. I like telling people that up front so you're not surprised at the end when I'm telling you what, could be offered. But it's 90% information, and it's information that you can also use. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So just to let you know a little bit about me, I'm not going to go into long details. There's some pictures on the side of me, my parents, because I'm a mommy and a daddy's girl. I am an educator. I am a speaker. You see me speaking down there. I'm also a healthcare provider. Been a chiropractor for almost 15 years. I've been in organizational leadership for over 25 years. I've been in higher education, teaching at collegiate institutions, along with research for how people learn for over 12 years, and with curriculum development as well. Over 20 years of business development experience, training and development, leadership, and then also 2 official years as an instructional designer, but definitely done some instructional design before that. And so that's just generally just a little bit about me. I do have a master's in education and instructional design and technology as well. So without further ado, we are going to jump right on in. What in the world is a course? So, a course is a structured learning experience. So, this is usually something that's spanning over a long period of time. It usually takes weeks or several months. And if you've gone to school, if you've been in college, you may have taken a course and it might have been 8 weeks or 5 weeks or 16 weeks or 13 weeks. It was over a long period of time, and you were getting in-depth knowledge or comprehension of a topic. A lot of times you're getting information like that's in a toolbox. So some theory, some information that's in your toolbox for you to be able to utilize later. So usually has a lot of different lessons, there's assignments, there's assessments. Typically, we think of courses as something that might be offered at a learning institution like a college. However, now you, just like many other entrepreneurs, can offer courses yourself. You don't have to be an institution or a college to provide the in-depth knowledge you have. As a matter of fact, anybody can teach anything, right? Somebody might be able to teach you how to bake something. Somebody might be able to teach you how to do a hairstyle. You may be able to teach somebody how to budget. The Lord knows we need it, right? So, especially with inflation and everything that's going on. So, anybody can teach. And so, you can take the information and the knowledge that you have and create a course, charge people to take the course because it's information that they are going to want to utilize, and so they're going to pay, and then you can actually gain and monetize the information that you have for them as they learn it. And it can be in person, it can be online, it can be hybrid, a little bit of mix of both. And so that's what a course is.
Listen, I've done a lot of talks on teaching folks how to understand financial statements and how they can have best practices related to their accounting and their business. You mean I can do a course?
You can do a course. And one of the things that's really great about a course is sometimes people, they may not be able to afford your one-on-one services, and you may not have time to give them your one-on-one services, right? And so what a course does is it decreases the price point for them because they can gain the information on their own, but then more people have access to it. So now you're actually getting the same or more than you would have gotten on a one-on-one experience. So it's definitely beneficial for both parties.
I like that. It seems like that's once you create the course, well, you can tell me if I'm thinking about this right. But if I create the course once, can I create a course once and then it lives on and people can?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can create the course once, and then people can take it over time for years and years to come. You can include an evaluation. So if there's anything you want to tweak or change along the way, or something new comes out that you just want to drop in and add, you can do that. But yep, you can do all the work one time and keep on making money off of it over time without you even being present. There's different types of courses, but there's definitely courses that can be done without you having to be present for the courses.
Okay,
So
well,
yeah,
listen,
absolutely.
you got me sold. So I want to hear more of what you got. But you already have me sold. I want to get a course.
I
I want to
got
get
you.
courses, plural courses.
Yes. And all the knowledge that you have, you need courses because I done learned a
Okay,
few things from you. Sometimes I just
right.
gotta hire you to do for me, but definitely so much knowledge in you. Courses is the route to go. So that's a course. Now we also have webinar. So what's a webinar? A webinar is a live online event. The goal is usually to sell a product. So we use the terms like all interchangeably. Oh, I'm doing a webinar. But the reality is the purpose is to sell a product. Yes, you want to provide information to the person that's coming, but the information is usually to provide more insight in the problem or the issue or what's going on, because they may not know. For example, before this, you may not have known that you could have taught a course, or you may not have known that this is something that is available to you for budgeting. Someone may not have known that you should probably have an Excel sheet or a program that helps you
Right.
budget. They may not know the problem. And so the webinar gives them more insight on the problem, and then they're going to pay you for the solution to the problem. And so these are usually about 30 minutes to a few hours. They're highly focused and they're highly specific. Very often, not to say you can't charge for them, some people do charge for webinars, but very often the webinar is not charged. It's usually free or at no cost, but
Mhm.
you're painting a picture so that they know that they need your services, and so that they're going to purchase something later. So
For clarity, would this be an example of a webinar?
this would be an example of a webinar. Yes, you
Okay,
gain some
I'm
insight, you
paying
gain
attention
some
in
knowledge.
class. Paying
Yes,
attention
you're
in
paying
class.
attention to class. Thank you very much. You gain some knowledge. It's not very long, but then also, you're going to find out later how you can utilize services as well.
Okay.
So that's a webinar. Now we also have a master class, and Clarence, while you can do multiple courses, a webinar, master classes would really be great for you because, and you've done them, you've done master classes because you're an expert in your field, and so this is when someone has the knowledge, they have the skill, they have the experience, and they're sharing this information, going a little bit beyond the basics, going into some techniques and some strategies that people can use like right away. These
Mhm.
are usually between 25 minutes to a couple hours. This is often, again, an industry leader, someone that's a renowned professional. They're providing this information. So, master classes are actually typically paid experiences as well. And so, it may not be as large of a price point as a course for someone to pay, but you providing a master class can actually be the same amount or more as someone who is getting a course because you have so many more people that can purchase it,
Mhm.
that can be involved in it. You can include live Q&A if you want. You can definitely offer it asynchronous, which means you don't have to be there. You can definitely, someone can purchase it later to review it later on as well. So with master classes, you're really going a little bit deeper in. It's like, I want an actionable step that I can use right now. And Clarence, you're really, really awesome at giving actionable steps.
Right.
So I know you've done master class stuff in the past as well. So
So
that's what a master class is.
so just for clarity, even for myself, everybody that's listening, how do we differentiate between the master class and the course?
That's a great question. So typically a course is going to be over time. So someone may be taking it for multiple weeks, or
Okay.
they may be taking it for, there's going to be multiple lessons and assignments and assessments to make sure they understand the information. So the course is usually going to be a little bit longer, whereas the master class is usually in a smaller span of time.
Okay.
It's usually just right now, right here. And instead of getting multiple things that I can utilize, I'm really getting some techniques that I can use right now. And
Okay.
so a lot of times you'll see courses more in educational settings, master classes you may see. Sometimes we'll introduce them in educational settings, but you may see this more with training and development, along with workshops, which we're going to talk about next. So
Okay.
this one is a bit smaller, but I should be able to get something actionable, some kind of advice from your experience from being in the field for so long.
Okay. I got you.
All right. And then we also have a workshop. So, what is a workshop? Just like the name work, you're going to start working. So, in a workshop, the goal is to get the participants to actually engage and do some work, right? So, if we were talking about a course on budgeting, a workshop, you're going to take out those budget sheets, you're going to actually start creating it while you're there. So, not only do you have a better understanding of it, you can actually implement the usage right away. These are usually about 90 minutes to 5 hours. They're very, very focused on solving a problem. So, whereas a webinar is focused on letting you know what the problem is and give you more insight on the problem, and a course may give you a longer term kind of information, a toolbox to pull from when problems arise. A
Right.
workshop is like, we're going to solve this problem now, whether we're brainstorming, we're going to develop some skills. This is a problem, a very specified problem that we are going to get to work on now and solve it right now. So these are
So for
very highly interactive, and these are definitely usually paid experiences for people. So the price
okay.
point's usually a little bit higher than a master class.
So for example, me as an accountant, a CPA, I've sat with clients and I've helped them to work on their business budget, whether it's a one year projection, even up to 5 years. But I've done this on a one-to-one basis. So I could do this workshop where I could bring numerous individuals in And it could still be the same focus of we're going to work on our 1 year to 5 year projections, but everybody is working on it at the same time. So I'm giving out instruction. I'm telling you the different things. They're seeing what I'm doing as an example. And then, all right, immediate classwork right now. And then just
Absolutely.
providing feedback as they're going through. And okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes they can work individually. Sometimes you may have them in groups. Sometimes you may give them an assignment to come up with something to present to the group. But they're working. They're actually getting their hands in to what they're doing. So yeah, that was a great example. They can actually start working on their business plan or their budgeting plan, for 1, 2, 3, whatever, how many years. And you're giving them some information, some instruction, and they're working right on it. That was a great example.
Okay, very good, very good.
Yes. So all of these definitely are going to increase your bottom line. Even the free one, the webinar, because now you're introducing people to what it is that they need for you to accomplish for them. So all
Okay.
of these can definitely be beneficial financially.
Okay.
So creating transformational courses. I was talking to Mr. Harris earlier about how sometimes, like, yes, money is great. But sometimes in this world of information, we have all this information and people don't know what to do with it. They learn something, but they didn't really apply it to their life, right? And so when we're creating courses, I think we should be creating transformational courses, courses that allow them to apply the information right away. And so some of the things that I do in order for the course to be transformational is, one, I use learning theories. Basically, I have an understanding on how people learn, adult learners, children learners, different people learn differently. They have different learning preferences. And so we actually incorporate that when I'm creating a course into the course development. Also, instructional design models. Now, this is looking at not only how people learn, but how are we providing the learning for them? What model or what different components are involved in the learning experience? And then you want to use a set curriculum. Like, what are the objectives? What's the outcome that we want to actually, what's the outcome that we want the learners to get from the experience? And actually kind of predetermine those and have that into consideration when a course is being created. So this helps not only for you to get money from someone taking your course, but it also helps to bring some impact into their lives that they can really utilize, which is going to help your bottom line too, because they're going to tell other people, oh my gosh, my life has changed because of
Right.
this. And they're going to be
Right.
like, what? Oh, I need that too. Right. So we really want not just information like, oh, Mr. Harris is really, really cool. He has a lot of information. Okay, what did you do with what he told you? I don't know. I didn't do anything with it. No,
Right. Right.
we want them to do something with them. And then, people are actually observing and saying, oh, I'm noticing some differences in things that you're doing in your lifestyle. I need to be a part of that too. So we
Okay.
want transformational courses to occur.
Transformational transformational courses to occur.
Yes. So we want to
Transformational courses
include
to
some
occur.
components as we're designing the course in order for that to happen.
Okay.
And the number one most overlooked thing that I see when people are creating courses is they ignore levels of engagement. There are multiple levels of engagement that should be included in a course. One of them is learner to interface. And so that's basically saying, what is the learner's experience with the software or whatever they're using in order to take the course? Kind of like learner and material, if it were like a face-to-face class, the book. If it's online, it's, with the learning management system or whatever they're logging into. What is that interaction and what is that engagement looking at? Are they looking at a video? Are they clicking on a video to answer a question? Are they flipping cards on the computer? Are they basically just what is that interaction between the actual software or the actual materials? What does that look like?
Okay.
Learner to learner engagement is how are they communicating with other learners? Because especially adult learners and even child learners, but we learn a lot more when there's some type of interaction with each other. And so we want to include learner to learner interaction, even if they're not in the same place at the same time. we want to include some type of learner to learner interaction. Learner to instructor engagement is extremely important as well. They want to know, how do I ask a question or how do I contact you? Even in a course where you've created that they're just taking on their own and you're not present, you can build in some learner to instructor experiences. For example, if you have an assessment and a question is, even if it's just multiple choice, right?
Right.
If the question's asked and they answer it, there can be automated feedback. That was great. You answered it well because of this. And you can even give them another tidbit of information or an example. Or, that wasn't the right choice. This is why it wasn't the right choice. And you can give them a little bit more information. And so there's learner to instructor engagement that can occur even when you're not there. That can be automated, but we definitely don't want to ignore it because it plays a role in the learner experience. Then
Okay.
learner to self. And now this one, I'm not gonna lie, some of my fellow instructional designers and some of the theorists, if I may say, may not like the term learner to self because we're talking about the own person self. But they do like the result. And so we want to look at what is a person doing in their reflection or in their experience. Are they asked to introspect at all? Are they asked to journal, or are they asked to have any role for evaluating how they learned? So we also want to look at how we're engaging with the material ourselves. So these levels of engagement are very, very often overlooked because most subject matter experts like yourself, most of them aren't really considering how people learn. They just have this vast amount of information that they're trying to give and help,
Okay.
people with. It's just, and that's helpful, but it's a small percentage of people who can take that and apply it. But when we include these little things in, it makes a big difference. And so that's why we want to take the subject matter expert like you, as well as an instructional designer like me, and bring all of
Okay.
that together so that the learner is getting a great experience.
Okay. So let me ask you this, and I don't know if I'm on the right track or the wrong track, but I'm going to ask nonetheless. So for example, when I have taken online college courses, like I'm taking some online college courses now,
Mm-hmm.
asynchronous, and we have to do, a lot of the schools will do where you have to do a weekly discussion post, and then you have to respond to a couple of your classmates, and you have to do this every week. I know a lot of institutions have implemented this. Is that an example of levels of engagement? And if so, which level of engagement would that be?
Awesome. So that's a great question. Typically, that's a learner to learner level of engagement. I mean, you can look at all of these, if say you're on, I don't know, Blackboard, or you're on some learning management system. Of course, the ease of using it would be looking at learner to interface. The actual communication, you're putting information and you're responding to other people and you're getting their ideas and insights and providing insights. That's a learner to learner experience. Some of
Okay,
those
I got
courses,
it.
especially on a college level, the instructor may also give some feedback
Chime
in the
in.
discussion board. That's
So
learner
that
to
would be
instructor.
learner to instructor, or no, that would be instructor to learner, or
And learner to instructor, instructor to learner are going to be the same.
interchangeable.
But
Okay.
yes, yep. So that would, the instructor is also engaging in those discussion posts, and that would be learner to instructor. And so that can be multiple levels of engagement just in one type of assignment. Although sometimes you're like, I don't want to do a discussion board. There's really some thought behind those and why they're done. And even it can even be the learner to self, because if the discussion board is if the original post is something that's introspective, then
Right.
you have to think about what it is that you're even putting. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
that can actually be, usually we think of it as learner to learner because we're engaging with other learners, but it really can have multiple levels of engagement depending on how it's set up.
Right. Like I'm taking a strategic management course as part of an MBA program, and the last the last week discussion, which I've had an opportunity to do, they they were saying, hey, reflect back on the entirety of the course, and we want you to discuss what were some of your key takeaways, and how are these things going to be applicable related to your business going forward? So would that be an example of learner to self?
Absolutely, because you're
Okay.
reflecting and seeing how it can be best utilized later. Great example of learning to self. And which I didn't include in this presentation, it's also a helpful evaluation tool. So a lot of times when we create courses, we want an evaluation as well. And that course may have a different evaluation where the learner is saying what their overall experience was with the course, because then you
Right.
can take that information and, say, okay, this was their experience. I can add or take things away in order to, tweak it to be this optimal experience for students,
Right. So
for
when
learners.
so let's say, a subject matter expert like myself, and then a expert in course creation and instructional design like yourself, we get together in 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 my course that I want to have. Should I have something built in like learner to learner, just like how the college courses have it, where they have like the discussion posts and respond back?
Absolutely. And of course, I think that is very imperative. It doesn't have to be discussion board, but there's other things that can be created to have that experience, but that should absolutely be included. Most learning management systems do allow that feature, but there's entrepreneurs that are getting around it, even if they don't have that. So, for example, a private Facebook page can be utilized for things
I
like
got
that.
you.
So there are other ways of creating that experience, even when you don't have, the software.
And where people are posting in the private community chat and just
Right.
sharing nuggets and information with one another. So that's that learner to learner level of engagement.
Absolutely. And there's lots
Okay.
of insight and experience that you can get from fellow learners.
Okay.
And
So that,
and even that the instructor will learn, as well.
right, right. Wow. So now it's interesting that I've seen these things going on, but I didn't necessarily put the title to it.
Right.
Now I'm
Right.
learning what the titles are.
Right.
And it's
The
crazy because
titles and the reason.
and it's crazy because I've been teaching I've been teaching at a university level for like a decade now.
Right.
And so I know this is kind of off subject, but still kind of related. To teach, usually when you're teaching at a college or a university, you're a subject matter expert in what you teach. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have been educated on the proper ways to teach and
Absolutely.
theory behind teaching. And it is the word pedagogy. Is that how you say that word? Like,
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
yeah.
Yeah,
So like I'm
definitely.
I'm learning stuff right now, like, oh, levels of engagement. And it's crazy. I've been
Right.
teaching for 10 years and I've never took a class on hit these different levels of engagement. And really it's, yes, I've been to some trainings, but a lot has just been learn through experience, trial and error, learn through experience, and get feedback from the engagement, the student engagement surveys and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And same here. I taught, for quite a while on college campuses, as well as the curriculum development and educational research, which definitely helped me to tweak things over the years. I started doing training development, but really, so I was doing a lot, even instructional design. I was doing it before I got the master's of education, but it gave me more like the language and then some more levels of how to break things down more. And honestly, when I had clients before I ever got the degree, and I thought I don't need to get this degree, but I went and got it because when you do it for a publisher or for a higher education institution, you really do need to have the higher degree. And of course, during the program, I said, "Oh, I guess I did learn some things along
Right,
the
right,
way as
right,
well." I learned some language, but I also learned, more than what I knew before. So it's definitely helpful.
right. Okay, very cool.
So just a couple testimonials for how I help entrepreneurs. This one I took it straight off Facebook. Someone had posted it. They talked about having a short conversation with me and how I took it and I created the course for them from that conversation. And I thought this was pretty cool because I really often hear from clients, I said that, like, oh my gosh, like, how did you know that? And I'm like, because I'm very good active listener. I do take notes. And then, I'll add some research and I'll add things into it as well. But it's, people have such, especially subject matter experts have so much vast information inside of them. And if you just listen, you find out what people's goals and outcomes are. It's very good and easy to put it together. And so this was just one of the testimonials that had been shared. And then here's another. Actually, I'm going to do a new share because I don't think I'm sharing my computer sound. And
While she is pulling that up, again, if you like everything that you're hearing, definitely check out her website at drrachelsilver.com. Also, hit the like button for this video, hit the subscribe button. And oh, you have two websites. So you have drrachelsilver.com and www.alignedgoalsacademy.com.
yes, sir, I do. All right.
Rachel Silver, when y'all hear me, I did about 2 sessions of this, the lit one-on-one. That's the creator of that. That's the person I partner with to create that. She's amazing. I'm building courses because I don't have the time to be putting all my thoughts into a course. And so she did some Zoom meetings with me. I downloaded what I wanted to be, what I want the course to look like and information in it. And she just wrote it all out and developed it. So shout out to you, Rachel Silver, for being I call it a destiny helper. She's my destiny helper.
She visited us. She visited us next door and she prayed with us. So we met Rachel.
Rachel, you're over there praying for me.
Sister Rachel. Yeah, prayer warrior.
So some people have all the skill in the world. They just don't got the time. And especially entrepreneurs, y'all are in your businesses, you're doing the work. Sometimes you just need to call on somebody else to just download all the information you got in you and let me create the course for you. And so that's, one of the things I do.
Right.
So you can definitely schedule a consult. There's information right here on the screen. My Calendly schedule. You can go to that site, schedule, and then we can, work through the process with you. I do also have to let you know what every course creator must know is that you don't have to do it alone. So definitely go ahead and schedule your consult. And we did have a Black Friday sale. So even though Black Friday, Cyber Monday is closing and we're all coming off of our holiday, if you see this
I
video,
asked Dr. Silver, I said, Dr. Silver, I know the Black Friday time period has elapsed, but everybody that's watching, you gotta still hook them up, hook everybody up that's watching. I just launched my YouTube channel, and I'm grateful that you're up here, Dr. Silver. And I asked her, and she said,
I got you for a limited time. I got you.
So we gotta take action.
It will honor it. Yes, it will honor it. So any questions, feedback, is there something that you learned or a question that you have?
Well, so let me say this, because I know a lot of, I presume a lot of the tax professionals, like I said, are going to be watching this. I am in communication with other business attorneys. Tell us, other insurance professionals, how can I think you've already answered the question, but the question is, should we, as whether we're a business advisor, let's just say a general business advisor, should we have a course?
Absolutely. And I say everyone should have a course. Like I said, everyone has something that they can teach.
Right.
And it allows you to provide that information to more people than you can physically provide the information to. If you were just
Right.
doing it one-on-one or just doing it, in even in small group settings. You have a job to do. You're out here working your business, doing your job and helping clients. Well, of course, it does a couple things. One, it allows some information that can be utilized that they can use right away. Then it points them back to you for all the other things that you and your services provide. So you're kind of getting money both ways because they're buying your course to get some information. And then it's also referring them, your own referral source, back to you for other services that you provide. And
Right.
then it also,
So I could do a course teaching you how to do your bookkeeping. You do your bookkeeping, you still got to come back to me. Hopefully you will come back to me because now you need to get your taxes prepared.
absolutely. And in some cases, so now you got to come back to get your taxes prepared. But in some cases, once they start doing their own bookkeeping, they're like, well, this is more work because sometimes people don't realize how much work you really do. So
Right. Right.
with all your wonderful vast knowledge, no, this is more work than I thought it was. I'm glad I have the understanding, but now I want you to do that too. So,
Right.
so it
Right.
could definitely, point to other services, but even point to the same service in some cases.
Okay. Okay. Here's the next question. How long does it take to develop a course? So just like a person like myself, let's say I want to do a course related to understanding small business accounting, how to properly set up your books and take it to where you can do your bookkeeping and your books be in good order. I want that to be a course. How long do you estimate it might take for us to develop this course?
Right. How long would it take you to develop it, or how long would it take me to develop it for you? It's not the same answer.
Yeah. Well,
So if you were developing that course, because you have all the information, um, and perhaps it just depends on how much time
us
you have,
working
right? How much
together, us working together. I'm hiring you because I don't know how to put together the learning management system. That's not what I do. I'm good at tax problem solving. I'm good at debits and credits, being a super great bean counter. I'm more than a bean counter. I'm Norfolk CPA. But anyways, so no.
it can it can be relatively quick. I mean, we're talking, weeks. Usually it depends on what the desire is. And I look at the launch date desire for the person I'm working with, and then we create a plan. So I've had courses that they were like, oh, sometime next year. All right, we're going to come create a plan for sometime next year. And I've had people that are like, I want this course to launch in 6 weeks. That means we got to create it, review it, evaluate it, and market it in order for it to launch. And we've definitely done that as well. So it can be relatively quick. It just depends on the desire that the person has as far as when they want to launch it.
Okay, so if we're creating a course, we're definitely teaching content that we have expertise over. How is it recommended, or is it necessary, or how should we look at having assessments that are in the course, such as like whether it's homework, quizzes, exams, like a traditional course that we would take at a university?
Right. So I kind of look at things backwards. One of the first questions I ask during the interview that I do with people who are creating courses is, what is the outcome that you want your learner to have? That's one of the questions that I always ask. And I look at what the outcome is that they want them to have, and I look at the information that they're providing, and I typically will create the assessments based on that. And so there are different types of assessments that may be created for different outcomes. We may have an assessment that is quite kind of quiz like, multiple choice. We may have assessments that's more, they're actually doing short answers. One of my favorites is scenarios, where it can be a scenario that's gated, which means if they're in a system, they're choosing something, and then based on what they choose will determine the next step. So if they choose the right thing, it's like, oh, this was right and this is why, but I'm going to teach you more and make you choose something else. If you chose the wrong thing, this was wrong and this is why. Now, what are you going to choose if I give you these two scenarios? And I really like gated scenarios because it allows people to kind of have a little bit more thought into what they're doing, which we typically keep with us longer. But it just depends on, like I said, what the outcome is that people want will determine what type of assessments that I create for the course. And typically at all the courses I've created, yeah, I typically create the assessments. So that's not even something that I usually have the subject matter expert do.
Okay. Okay.
Also
Wow.
create the workbooks as well. Some people will have a workbook or worksheets that are related. Some people don't include them with their course. They sell it like an ebook, like, you know, you got the course, but for this much more, you can get this book. So, you know, I usually create that as well.
Okay. And let's see. I'm trying to look at, see if anybody sent me some questions. So we talked about the time length of what it could take, and it that can be variable. So if you say, hey, I want this done in 6 weeks, we're gonna map out the plan where it's going to be 6 weeks. But if we say, hey, there's a longer timetable, then we can have a little bit more time to develop it as well. Does the size of the course impact the budget that we need to have for getting the course done?
No, not typically. So
Okay.
a 5-week course versus a 13-week course is typically the same budget point. Yeah. So
What?
no, not for me to
Really?
create. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Now,
Okay.
if you want a year course, which I have done, there was a person that wanted the whole year. I've learned that needs to be a different price point. But like for your most of your courses, like between 5 and 16 weeks, are some of the same process.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And synchronous versus asynchronous. So just to make sure that my understanding is right, synchronous would be something that is live. We're doing a course live, whether it's in person, whether it's online. It's going to be live, where asynchronous would be, how would you describe asynchronous?
So asynchronous would be we're not all together at the same time during a learning experience. Whereas synchronous, we're all going to be in sync together during a learning experience at the same time. And so if you're having someone that's saying in hybrid, well, not hybrid, but sometimes we do a little bit of both of them. So if you're having someone saying that on Mondays at 7 p.m. we're going to meet in order for instruction, that would
Mm-hmm.
be synchronous. If
Okay.
there's just a course that you can just log in on your own, all the videos, all the information is just there for you to take at your own pace. That's asynchronous. So
Okay.
asynchronous, your own pace, synchronous is work together. And then even in synchronous experiences, a lot of times people will record the content so that
Right.
people can access it at a different time, especially for entrepreneurs or small businesses.
So what have been some of the, I guess, biggest misconceptions or what people perceive to be challenges about course creation, and once they have aligned with you, that those misconceptions have been debunked? Or
Right. That's a great question. A lot of times people think they have to have it all figured out before they meet with me. Like I'm not there yet. I have this idea, but I haven't figured it all out yet. So I need to, you don't have to figure it all out because that's what I'm here for. So, you know, a lot of times people think they have to map everything out or know, you know, they know the idea and the information they have. They're like, I don't know how I want it to be taught or how many modules or how many lessons. You don't have to figure all that out. And a lot of times when I give it back to people, they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is exactly what I pictured. How did you do this fast? This is how my
Mhm.
mind works." You know, a lot of times, especially like visionary people, they'll have the bulk vision, but they may not always have all the steps in between. And this is even the case for like event planning or project planning. They may not have, they see the vision, they know what they want, they even have the information, but they don't see the steps. And that can be overwhelming because they're trying to figure out all the steps. You don't have to. I do that. So
Okay.
I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions is you have to have arrived or be at a certain place in order to get started.
Okay. So here's another question. What tools and technologies do you use for creating or delivering the courses?
Okay. So I do use different ones with different people. Some of my clients have their own learning management systems. And so based on what their learning management system is, will determine what tools I use. My favorite tools are things like Articulate 360 or Rise, which is, there's a lot of interactivity within it. It's a course authoring tool. But not all learning management systems where people log in and take the course, they don't all marry well. So in the educational world, they're going to marry well, right? But in entrepreneurial world, people are choosing for different reasons. They may be choosing a platform because of its marketing capabilities or because it just looks pretty, but it don't really, it's
Okay.
not like education, but it
Right.
makes some money though, right? So
Right.
so
That's
depending
important.
on that's important. So depending on kind of where they are, if they already have a system, that's going to determine what software I'm using. Because honestly, because we already know the components that are needed in order for it to be a transformational course, like we talked earlier, doesn't matter whether we have all the bells and pretty whistles that I like or not, we can create an experience, right? And so just depending on what I'm working with, what that experience is going to look like, or what I'm going to be using. If we're using mine, so on www.aligngoalsacademy.com, if someone wants to host a course on my site, as long as it's something that is helping someone align their goals, as long as it's something that is helping someone develop, they can host a course on my site. And then I will use all the bells and whistles because my site, it marries well with all of those, or even some of the other ones, Blackboard,
Okay.
some of the common educational ones, they marry very well. So I would use my course authoring tools in those. And the other ones, maybe not, but we would still weave it in the design process so that we're still getting that experience.
I think I want to take you up on that. So I want to partner with you and hire you and have you hosted on your site for one of my upcoming courses. So you know what, YouTube world, I'm coming out with some courses. If there's some specific things you think you will want to hear from me, I know I have some ideas. I was thinking about doing an enrolled agent course, how to pass your enrolled agent designation. That would be something pretty cool. Definitely, we can do small business accounting. That's going to be a course I'm going to put out. But if it's something that you feel you want to get from me, just put it in the comments or shoot me an email, DM me somehow. Just let me know what that information is. So a couple other questions for you. Got some people that emailed me some things. What inspired you to become a course creator? How did the journey begin?
So that's a really good question. People ask me that, especially since I'm a chiropractor. Like I do still see patients. They're like, "How did you do this?" So in the chiropractic world, right? Your brain will send messages down your spinal cord. Nerves will go to every muscle, gland, and organ in the body. If any bone or anything is out of place or out of alignment, we don't operate at our efficiency. And so I began to notice that was the way I looked at so many other areas of life. So in organizational leadership, I said, oh, this is out of place. If we align it, we can operate better and more efficiently and less stressfully. I began to look at it in relationships. There's something that I began to look at in so many different areas where planning development and strategic planning and operations, it began to come in place.
Okay, very cool. Are you still with us, Dr. Silver? I think we're having a
And development as well. And in one of the training and development experiences that I was engaging in, I didn't like, they were already created and I didn't like the way they were created. So I was like, I need to change this. And sometimes when you do training and development, sometimes you can change it up yourself. And sometimes you just got to go with what was created. And so I was like, yeah, this needs to be created differently. And that honestly is what kind of got me into saying, you know what, I'm going to be an instructional designer. I'm going to create these trainings. I'm going to create them for people. That's kind of what really, like I say, catapulted it. Not to say I wasn't interested in how people learned in the past. I used to make my students, especially if they weren't doing well, I used to make them take learning preference surveys to determine what their learning styles were so I could teach them how to study for the course. Like there was always some type of how people learn in my mind. When my first year teaching at a college, they told me the pass rate for the course that I was teaching was 49% campus wide. I said, what? And that was okay. He like 49%. So it's okay if half your students fail. That was not okay for me. And so I was learning how people learn from the very beginning of me teaching, because I wanted their experience to be good and I wanted them to actually have an impact, and I wanted them to learn something. So in general, that's kind of how this all came about. I know that was a lot of
All right, I
areas.
got you. Look, I know you we only got a limited time, so I want to ask you, here's the last question. What's next for you? Do you have any new courses or projects that's going to be on horizon?
All right, that's a very good question. What is next for me? I definitely work with clients. So I have clients coming out. Actually, one of my clients right now has a marriage mastery course, or marriage mastery
I need
mentorship
that.
program, not even just a
Okay.
course. Yes, yeah. There's a singles mastery one and there's a marriage mastery one that are both coming out. And really, with divorce rates so high and it's conflict management, communication, finance, there's just so many areas that we're diving into for that. And so that's a really big project that I'm very excited about that's coming out. I do have a few courses on the www.aligngoalsacademy.com site. There is one that was created with someone that was for goal setting. So from the first, what do I want to do and how to set a goal, all the way to how to activate it and implement it and stuff that is available. And I believe that one's coming back out in January, but it is on the site. I have a serving without diversion course. It's a biblical course, but basically, people that have a lot of compassion sometimes can get a bit distracted and not be able to complete their task because they're helping everyone else. So it's a course, basically, it comes from scripture, but it's a course basically talking about how you can focus on your journey and what you need to do along the way so that you're not just ignoring the needs of people, but that you're matching them with other resources and how to do that and still keep going on your journey. And so that's actually available on the site as well. So that's just a few things I have coming up. And then, of course, Mr. Harris, he has some books. Okay, I was going to say a book, but he has some books coming out very soon. April next year is going to be real lit. I actually have another client that's lit, but
yeah. So just for everybody who's out there, so not only does Dr. Silver help professionals get their courses created, she's also an accountability coach, and she's been working with me as my accountability coach, making sure that I'm focused on tasks and my goal of getting my book done. And since I've been working with her, tremendous progress has been made. This has been something that for years I have been complacent about and haven't been done, but with her help, we've been making tremendous strides, and I'm very happy to announce April 15th is the tentative date of 10 rules for entering the business startup game. So just continue to come back to this channel, youtube.com/at Norfolk CPA, on IG at Norfolk CPA. I'm going to continue to give you updates on 10 rules for entering the business startup game, the book, and the music album, the hip hop music album, where all of the music is related to business, entrepreneurship, taxes, tax savings, how to keep more money in your pocket. So thank you, Dr. Silver, for your help and keeping me accountable to getting this this book done, and we're wrapping up the last couple of chapters. So I'm excited about that. Anyways, yeah.
Absolutely. And so that's definitely a biggie. I actually had someone text me today and was like, "Yo, one of your greatest strengths is accountability." And so, definitely have that accountability side, component as well. And I'm looking forward to the things that you are creating, because I think that we were able to get done even more layers than what the original plan was. So that was really good.
Right, absolutely. So, well, again, Dr. Silver, thank you for dropping so many nuggets and so much powerful information. Everybody that is watching, please visit both drrachelsilver.com and aligngoalsacademy.com so you can keep in contact with her. If you're a professional, we know that you have something inside of you that you can share to the world. Well, let's go ahead and share it to the world. Reach out to Dr. Silver. She can help you with whether you're coming up with your webinar. She can help you come up with your masterclass, your course, help you with your workshop. She is here to be a resource and a tool for you to get what's inside of you out, because the community needs to hear that. So I am Norfolk CPA. I approve this message. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Everyone, have a fantastic and powerful day, evening, morning, wherever you are, whatever time that you're looking at this. Take care.